Hello and welcome to Center for Victory's podcast of Your Best Day Yet. Here at Center for Victory, we're here to help unlock, reinforce, and enrich relationships through personal and professional development. I'm Eric Guy, Chief Victory Officer here at the Center for Victory with my lovely wife, Tammy. Today we're wrapping up our month of March. We were talking about Wonder Women. We've had a lot of great women on the program, a lot of great tips. And then through all this, obviously with the COVID-19 stuff, I thought we'd have you on at the end because if we go back 8, 9, 10 years with all this talk about having to stay in and things like that, teaching your kids how to go online, we did this. We started this adventure 8 or 9 years ago. Our kids were cyber schooled through all of their middle school and high school careers. The nice thing about that too is our daughter got to graduate early. They're both in college right now, so that transition home wasn't too difficult for us, right? And no, it's not easy, okay? Because you have to deal with me too, because I get to stay home too. But I thought we'd you really did a great job. And I know I helped a little bit, but you spearheaded this thing. And I thought, wow, why don't we talk today about how that all happened, what we had to do, what you had to do. Because you really gave up your career to stay home and teach them. Now, your background is in teaching.
Right.
So let's make sure we're clear about that. So that a little bit easier because we understand education, curriculum. Your background is in curriculum. You've built curriculum for Center for Victory in the past. So I don't want to say it's all been easy. We're just here to offer some tips and obviously to celebrate you too, because I think you're a great Wonder Woman. All right. The first thing is, with people, and we've been having questions already from other people, parents, but also kids. Like, how do we do this?
Right.
What's going on? So I guess the first thing is like schedule the day, right? Because it's not as structured as school and things like that, and I think that's where people get off task, and it doesn't work for some people. You've really, and again, years ago we started this. You really scheduled the day and the week and helped them do it as well. So can you talk about that a little bit?
Sure. I think, not just if you have the situation where your kids are at home, but just as a family, scheduling your day, your week, your weekends are important. The kids need that consistency. They need to know what to expect. Depending on the age of your child, and if they're, right now, a lot of you are actually homeschooling your children, that's a little bit more difficult than a cyber school situation where you have outside teachers that are teaching the children. You're just there to support them and facilitate their learning. But you really do need to schedule your day. You need to wake up at the same time. You need to go to bed at the same time. The kids need to be eating lunch and so on at the same time. And the really cool part about teaching kids at home is that you're doing these things together. It provides a lot of family time, and it was cherished for us. We have 2 children, and they would schedule lunch together, and actually sit down and eat lunch together, which was fantastic. We could do a lot of things as a family, but schedule everything about the day. Even like timeouts, like their recess, in a regular brick and mortar school. Give them time to take a break every day. And if they expect that break, it's easier for them to focus during that time where you want them to be working.
I know one of the things that, as far as schedule goes, now I work a lot from home and always have.
Yes.
Right? Now our office is on grounds. It's not in the home.
No.
But we've always had a place separate from that.
Absolutely.
And I think the big aha for me years ago was, like, I can't come in and out and disrupt. I have to, when I come back home, I'm home more than I used to be.
Right.
But it was big to make sure I followed that schedule. And that actually helped me to schedule what I was doing. So if I knew lunch was happening at a certain time, then that's the time I schedule for them. You know, if we
Yeah.
dinner, whatever fun things we were doing, we would have that schedule around that. So in a way, it helped, but I had to be cognizant of, hey, look, the kids are in school just because I don't have anything to do right now for 10 minutes. Doesn't
They
mean
do.
then doesn't
Yeah.
mean to interrupt
They're
them.
working.
And I say that, and I say it jokingly, but it's real because when I don't have something to do, I like to find something to do.
Yes, you do.
So it's really scheduling the day, scheduling the week. Do make sure you're having fun. I know yesterday, you know, we live out in the country, so you know, we can pretty much walk anywhere we want and not run into many people. So
Right.
we're doing the social distancing piece, but we did take a walk yesterday.
We did.
Both the kids couldn't go, but one of them did. You
Right.
know, we talked,
Right.
and you know, it was a good time. It was actually fun just to get away. It's good for us. It's good for them. But to have that schedule during the day, and I think what's neat about that is I've always found that when you have more of that structure, it's less stressful,
Right.
but you can accomplish more in less time. And I think both of the kids, I mean, they both got accelerated through.
Right.
Our son decided to stay home so he could continue to play soccer locally, but he could have graduated early. But our daughter, I mean, she won't even be 21 when she graduates college.
No.
You can debate that, good, bad, or otherwise, but she's ready for it. I mean,
Right,
we didn't put any pressure on her. She decided to do that on her own. With the schedule always comes expectations.
Right. That's really important. I mean, you touched on a little bit earlier about having a set place to be working, and I mean that's first of all, like in a classroom setting, you have classroom rules and expectations. You know, or older kids may have that in their syllabus, and it goes right along with that in your regular school day at home. You know, you need to have a really set schedule. You need to have expectations of, okay, so this is where you're working when you're doing your classes. This is where you're working. You're going to focus for this amount of time for this class. Homeschooling different than cyber, because cyber has a very set, you know, you have to show up and actually participate in class. But those expectations are really important. Some of the expectations we had for our own kids when they were participating in cyber school, you know, we actually brainstormed with them and said, okay, so, you know, what do you need to do to be successful in these classes? And both of them needed to be able to focus and not have other distractions around them. They are very techy, and they both have two screens, and they could be doing one thing on one screen and be in class on the other screen, but we had to really talk about that. Like, is that going to distract you from your schoolwork? What do you need to be doing? Things like, you know, I know a lot of kids like to play games, or they want to fidget, or they want to, you know, you're a fidgeter, you're a tapper, he's it's got to always be moving, you know, what's okay. And it depends on your kid, you know, what's okay for that specific child at that time. We have one that, you know, needs to be up and moving, and she can be up moving with her earbud in and still be participating in class all at one time. It works for her. My son wants it quiet. He doesn't want to hear anybody else talking. So, you know, the expectations are depending on your child. We had fun expectations, like they had to actually speak and participate out loud in every class. They had to ask questions or answer questions that the teacher might be putting forth. I mean, you can set up any expectations that you want, but what's going to be successful for them? You know your kids best. I mean, we know our kids, you know, inside and out. So what's going to work for them?
And I heard something yesterday, maybe we were talking about it, I don't know where it came from, but the whole thing with, you know, bringing everything at home, right, in this time where we're dealing with the coronavirus and everything else, it's not more difficult, it's just different. I heard somebody say that, you know, it's not really, it's not difficult. It feels difficult. Like, I don't want to.
It does feel overwhelming.
I don't want to downplay that, because when we first started, it was like, oh man, do we really want to be doing this?
Yeah,
like
absolutely.
This is a lot of work, even though you had the background and things like that. I mean, you know, I've worked in schools here and there in different capacities, you know, as a consultant, but it was like, whoa, man, it was just different, and we had to get used to it. those expectations. When do you start? When do you stop?
There's a lot of self-doubt.
Yeah.
As a mom, having these two students at home, and there's a lot of self-doubt with whether I could educate them appropriately. Were they going to get the same type of education that they would get in a brick and mortar school? It's a battle, but you have to keep feeling out your kids. I mean, for us, every year we would reevaluate and let them pro-con, and if they wanted to go back to their homeschool district, they were more than welcome to do that. They both kept choosing to continue to cyber, but there is a lot of it's just different. It is just different, and it's funny because our children are sophomores in college. They had to come back. Because their colleges are closed right now, and they're doing cyber work from home. And my son said, "Wow, this is like, I literally feel like I'm back in high school," and he doesn't love that feeling.
Right.
He really loves his independence. He's at Penn State University, and he loves that campus. And of course, we live in the country, and it was a big transition for him home. Our daughter, she's funny. She's at a smaller college. She's at Westminster College, and she is missing her friends, of course, at school. But she said, "I learn better in a cyber setting," and she is. She's a little bit different of a case, and I think a lot of parents are worried about if you have a student that is a higher level student, you have a student that has some learning disabilities and so on. Our daughter hits both sides of that spectrum. She's gifted, and she struggles with dyslexia. She has synesthesia. So, for her learning in that environment, she gains more control over her learning, and she really appreciates that. But it's setting those expectations for the kids throughout the day. This is what I expect you to do. This is when I want your homework to be completed. Let's talk about this. And we always talk about what they are learning.
Well, that's the big thing,
day.
because I coach a lot of parents and in older teens and even kids in college.
Right.
And some of the kids even last week, right? I know I had quite a few coaching calls this past Saturday, and they were mostly with kids that 16 and up.
Right.
And they said, I don't know what I'm supposed to do.
Right.
And
It's
they're
not clear.
sometimes harder on themselves.
Absolutely.
I had one young man, I'm like, I know your parents, like, I know they're not that hard on you. You're putting that on yourself.
On himself.
And I have a few kids like that. And so that's why I wanted to point that out, is we do need to talk about it.
Right. Right.
They actually might have higher expectations of, well, I'm not working. They don't feel like they're working, but they're actually doing well. But when you manage your time, you are going to have more free space. It's what you do with that free space.
Right.
I had a lot of adults even yesterday say, I should be reading more books. I have lots of time on my hands. Oh, you're stuck on the TV. You're stuck in all that stuff.
All social
media.
It's
Good time to read and have a good schedule, have a good plan. Not just throw your calendar out the window, but still to be structured, right? And that you'll find purpose in that, and that's so.
Absolutely.
The last thing I want to talk about is we've had a lot of teachable moments, right?
A lot of teachable moments.
We're not perfect
during
at
this
this. We just thought this would help, and we'll probably do something else with it because we're getting a lot of phone calls, a lot of emails about, hey, how do you guys do this? What are your suggestions? And I know this answer, but how do you utilize those teachable moments? What are some things that you mean by teachable moments?
There's so many teachable moments when your kids are at home all day. I mean, it's a really fantastic opportunity for parents to take what they're learning in school and transfer it to something that's actually something they can use in real life. Mm-hmm. There's so many ways. I mean, I think about, we did a lot of cooking with our kids, through all that time because they're home for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. So cooking together, using measurement, fractions, simple things like that were fantastic. Laundry, how much laundry detergent do you put in? I mean, it's like, it's the basic stuff, the everyday things that you think that they understand how to do, but they don't. But it can be teachable moments, I think, emotionally as well. They go through those ups and downs, and you're there to be able to walk them through it. And I think that's been key to our kids.
That's huge because, when most kids grow up, they just hear adults say, well, you do this, do this, do this, do this, and they think they have to do it perfect.
Right.
Right? When you're home together, you can share. The teachable moment for us is, I know for me a lot, is sharing, I screwed up. This is what I did.
Right.
I did something, I'm just thinking about a few weeks ago, I did something with our son when he was at a down level. And then like 2 weeks later, he's like, Dad, maybe you should do that exercise that we did together. And I was like, yeah, you're right about that.
They call us out on things.
I should do that. But it's good to have those conversations. But, we're not perfect. We need to lean on people. We need to lean on our family at this point in time. And I think that's given us that strength in our family with those teachable moments. Do you have a favorite teachable moment? Or
I don't know. I feel like their emotional well-being has been, all kids go through some ups and downs. Their teenage years, just like any other teenager, was difficult. And I can just think of them both being at really low moments and just being able to be there, not necessarily always having to speak, but just your presence with your kids, just so they're safe. They know they're okay. They know that things are going to move forward. And I know they quote us all the time and throw it back at us when we're having some difficult moments. But, just those non-judgmental, unconditional love moments that you can have with your kids. You have the time. You're here together. That's really what life is. And it's not really about the school. It's about, growing together. And being able to have the appropriate mindset, I think, for them. They'll use that word a lot.
Yeah.
They didn't have the right mindset going forward. And I think just creating that positive mindset in our family has helped them reach some pretty crazy goals that they have.
Yeah, and this time, I think I just want to take one more minute or so to really reinforce, because I heard a couple stories yesterday and the day before and such. This isn't just a hard time for kids and families, especially with the school, and this is a hard time for teachers.
Oh, absolutely.
Right? And teaching is not an easy profession by no means. The whole that is probably like the last thing I would want to do. But we've had a lot of great teachers, brick and mortar.
Fantastic teachers.
We've had, oh my God, and some of these people have been friends, especially the brick and mortar. But even when we did the cyber, these people were fantastic.
They are. They're invested in our kids.
Yeah.
Completely invested, and show up and still check on them, even though they're graduated and move forward. These folks really, we cherish them very much.
So we had a lot of great teachers. It's not easy. So I would just say to those who are listening, have some sympathy for somebody that's had a classroom of kids. Now they have to take everybody online, and you're only a week into it. Have some patience with that. Have some grace.
Right.
As people get used to this, and they're still a person. They're teaching your children. So have some grace towards them. Have some mercy, and then be patient at home.
Right. Absolutely.
Really. Use the time to connect. It's a great time even to get to know the teachers.
It really is.
It's amazing. Even the brick and mortar teachers, I knew from when they were really little, and I've got a few that I just absolutely love to see. And then when we moved to cyber, I thought, well, that might be gone, but it wasn't. I have a few that I just absolutely love to see. We see them out.
Right.
So it's interesting in that manner. But any last tips as we kind of wrap this up? Hopefully this has been helpful to folks. I don't see how it wouldn't be. But
I think just being patient with yourself as well. Mm-hmm. This is a different situation for everyone. We're all in the same boat. And I think just showing grace and mercy toward those around you and yourself. You really just have to keep taking care of yourself. You're the parents that are listening, you're the rock in this family, and you need some self-care. You need to be kind to yourself. It's not an easy thing to be going through right now, and you know, keep smiling.
Yeah.
So keep doing.
And you're definitely, well, it's just because you stayed home with the kids doesn't make you a Wonder Woman. You are just because of that, but many other aspects too. But I hopefully that this has helped folks. Hopefully you've gotten some out of this, some tips, some tricks. If you want more information, give us a call.
Sure.
We're at home too. I'm not going anywhere. You're not going anywhere, so we can answer questions. We've been answering questions.
Right.
Just from simple setup of a room to
Right.
what do I do next to what's a good meal. I mean, it just
Yeah. And our kids are answering questions. They've been
Yeah.
helping other students online using Zoom. You know, they're very techy and they enjoy helping.
yeah. So you can hook in with us in social media as well. But hopefully this has been good. Make sure you leave the video a like and leave a comment down in the comment section if you would. We'd also appreciate it. Hit that little button as well as the bell icon so you can get notified of the next time we post. Again, if you'd like more information, give us a ring. Visit us at centerforvictory.com. And remember, as we always end, wherever you're at, whatever you're doing, make this your best day yet. See ya.